Welcome to lecture 4 on module 4 of computer organization, in which we will be discussing about the read-only memory and types of read-only memory that are associated with the computer system. In this slide, we will be discussing about the read-only memory. So read-only memory is also a non-volatile memory. There is read-only memories are called as non-volatile memory. Whereas the RAMs, the memories that we have discussed in our previous lectures, that is SRAM and the dynamic RAM or the static RAM, are the chips that are volatile. That means these are the memories that lose their content when the power is turned off. But most of the applications, we need the memory that will hold the data even after the power is turned off. So the major drawback in case of the SRAM and the DRAM is that the data cannot be stored for a longer duration. To avoid that, we have the ROM or read-only memory chips which has the capacity to retain the data even after the power is turned off. For example, the computer is turned on, the operating system must be loaded from the disk into the memory. This requires the execution of the program that boots the operating system. So that means the program in any of the embedded systems or a computer system, the programs are written in the or programs are already gets loaded into the memory. So from the memory, the programs are taken and it will be taken by the processor and it will be executed. But if the programs are stored in volatile memory such as SRAM or DRAM, in such cases, uh, when the power turns off, the program also gets erased, which is not a practical task. We cannot download the program or you cannot install the program each time when the power goes off. That is not a practical thing. So what happens is the program has to be stored in such a memory where where the data will not be erased even if the power is turned off. So we need to store the instructions into a non-volatile memory. The non-volatile memories are the memories that are extensively used in the embedded systems. So what the embedded systems are the systems that combine the hardware, that is electronic circuit boards, and the software together. There is a controller or the processor to which the software is loaded. Such type of systems are called as embedded systems. So these non-volatile memories in such applications where embedded systems are used, in such cases the non-volatile memories are used extensively. Such systems typically do not use a disk storage device. Their programs are stored in non-volatile semiconductor memory devices. So the non-volatile memory is read in the same manner as the volatile memory, same as SRAM or DRAM. The separating writing process is needed to place the information in this memory. In order to write to this particular memory, we need a separate writing process, and because of which the normal operation involves only reading of data. This type of memory is called as the read-only memory. So the writing process needs a special instructions in case of read-only memory. The figure here shows the read-only memory. Here you have a bit line and the word line, same as the uh, SRAM and the DRAM. Whereas in case of DRAM, the capacitor of DRAM is replaced by the fuse here. We will not have, as in case of DRAM, we will not have a capacitor. Instead, we will have one fuse. So if this fuse is connected, it means that the data stored is 0. If you want to store 0 in ROM, then you need to keep the fuse connected. These two terminals at the position P, these two terminals has to be kept undisturbed. Then it indicates that the charge what is stored in that particular cell is logic 0. Since the other terminal is pulled down to ground, it is obvious that the charge stored is, or when you turn on this transistor, automatically this will pull the bit line to ground, indicating that the data that is present in the bit line is 0. Similarly, if you want to write the logic 1, this fuse is removed, or um, the fuse is burned, so that when the fuse is burned, there is a open circuit between this terminal and this terminal. So it automatically indicates that the bit line is logic 1. This is how the data is stored in a ROM cell, and this cannot be reversed. You cannot write a data to this type of ROM cells. Once the fuse is burned, once the fuse is burned, it is permanent. It cannot be reverted back. That is the major drawback in case of this type of ROM cells. The word line will turn on the transistor based on the input provided by the processor. When the word line is 1, the transistor will turn on, and when word line is 0, the transistor is turned off. Whenever you want to read the data or write the data, you need to you need to turn on this transistor by asserting certain values to the word line. The next version of memory is programmable read-only memory. The drawback in case of ROM is that it is one-time programmable, or it is not even one-time programmable, it is factory programmed. We call it as factory programmed. That means the fuse that is present at the point P in the figure is burnt during the manufacturing stage itself. So the programmability is achieved by inserting a fuse. In case of programmable read-only memory, you will have the fuse. In place of point P, you will have a fuse. Whereas in case of ROM, it is either burnt burnt, or it is open based on the data that has to be loaded in that particular memory. Here, in case of programmable memory, it is called as one-time programmable ROM, or programmable ROM is also called as one-time programmable. That means the fuse, the designer or the programmer has the leverage or the flexibility to program the memory for one time. He can load the content whatever he wants to, but only for one time. If he does any mistake while loading the data, he cannot revert it back. It is a permanent damage. So these are there is a lot of risk involved in handling the programmable read-only memory devices. Once the fuse is burned, it is irreversible. So in order to burn the fuse, the user can insert ones at the required location by burning the fuses at these locations using high current pulses. The high current pulses are passed through a particular cell, and the fuse is burnt wherever the programmer wants to write logical 1. Wherever the programmer wants to maintain the logic 0, then in such cells the fuses are kept as it is without disturbing the fuse. This is how we will be programming a memory chip in case of programmable read-only memory. So the PROMs provide a flexibility and convenience. We will have a flexibility to program our own, and it has a convenience. The PROM provide a faster and less expensive approach because they are programmed directly by the user. The user has the leverage to program the device, because of which it becomes a faster and less expensive approach. The next type of ROM is erasable programmable read-only memory. The previous memory, that is PROM, is one-time programmable. One-time programmable. And once it is programmed, it cannot be reversed back to the original position. Once if you do any mistake while writing or while burning the fuse, it is permanent, you cannot reverse it back. The memory will not serve the purpose. So to avoid that risk of wastage of memory, we have a erasable programmable read only memory. Here, in case of erasable programmable read only memory, the stored data can be erased and new data can be loaded. You have a flexibility, the programmer has the flexibility to erase the stored data and the new data can also be loaded. Now the programmer need not worry about the mistake that he commit while loading the program. He has the flexibility, and uh, this helps for a programmer during the development phase of a digital system. During the development phase, there will be a lot of changes that has to be performed in the program. We know that the program, once the program is written, once the program is written, the programmer most of the times will be anticipating one result, but actually the result will be different. In such cases, we need to keep on changing the data that will be loaded once the program is compiled. You need to load the program into memory many number of times during the development phase. This gives a more flexibility to the programmer in the development during the development phase. They can be used in place of ROMs while the software is being developed. That's what I was telling. The During the development, software development, there will be a lot of R&D, lot of trial and trial and error process that is being taking place. So many number of times the program that is loaded into the memory will be having an erroneous program. So there will be lot of times the program keeps on changing and it has to be loaded into the ROM. So this erasable programmable read-only memory gives leverage for a programmer to keep changing the software. So here the structure of EEPROM cell is same as a ROM cell. Only difference is that you will have a bit line, you will have a word line, you will have a transistor over here, and in place of fuse you will have a special transistor. At the point P you will have a special transistor, and which can function either as a normal transistor or as a disabled transistor. That is always turned off. This transistor is always in the turned off condition. This transistor can be programmed such a way that it is always turned on by applying sufficient power or the sufficient voltage at the base of the transistor, and it also can be kept always off in the off state as well. The advantage of having EEPROM is that their contents can be erased and reprogrammed. This is the major advantage compared to the PROM or ROM. Compared to PROM or ROM, this is the very important advantage as in case of EEPROM. Erasure is done by exposing the chip to an ultraviolet light. The Once the data is written, in order to erase it, it is a bit Herculean task as compared to the modern ROM what we have. Compared to that, the EEPROM erasing process is little bit difficult, where it has to be passed through a high beam of ultraviolet rays. The memory will have a quartz window through which you need to pass UV rays, ultraviolet rays, and for a specific duration, which will make the transistor that is present, that is the transistor that is present at the T region, to get back into the default mode. The transistor will be programmed such a way that either it will be turned on or it will be turned off, so that it will store a specific value, either 0 or 1. If it is closed, it will have the, if the transistor is turned on, the cell will store 0, and if the transistor is turned off, the cell will store 1. So in order to erase that, the transistor has to be brought back to its default state. This can be done only by passing a ultraviolet rays through a quartz window that is available in case of EEPROM memory cells. So the disadvantage is that chip that is placed, if what happens is, once it is programmed, the chip is placed in a circuit. So when you want to erase that, when you want to erase the data that is present in the memory chip has to be removed from the circuit, and it has to be placed in a uh, atmosphere where the ultraviolet light rays are passed in order to erase the content that is present in the RAM. That is one of the disadvantages in case of EEPROM. The other disadvantage is that the erasing process is very slow. The process of erasing the data that is present in the memory takes larger time, which will usually affect in case of product to market, or the time required to develop the product will increase. The more advanced type of ROM is that electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, where it can be both programmed and erased electrically. The PROM or EEPROM, erasable PROM, has to be placed in order to erase the electrical erasable PROM. You cannot use the electrical signal. Instead, you need to pass ultraviolet rays to get back the transistor to the normal position or the default state. Whereas in case of electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, the electrical signals are used to program as well as erase the data that is present in the memory. And the advantage is that you need not remove the chip from the circuit and place it in a setup where the ultraviolet rays is passed. Such kind of problems are solved in case of the electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. Only disadvantage of EEPROM is that the different voltages are needed for erasing, writing, and reading. You cannot have a common voltage for three different processes. For erasing, you need a separate or different type of voltage. For writing, you need a different voltage, and for reading, you need the different voltage, which is a challenge for in case of EEPROM. The other type of the ROM memory is the flash memory. So here, in case of flash, cell is based on the single transistor controlled by trapped charge, just as in case of EEPROM. In a flash device, it is possible to read the contents of a single cell, but only possible to write an entire block. So if you want to write to a single cell, it is not possible in case of a flash device. You can read a single cell, you can read the single cell, but writing will take place in terms of block. So the flash devices have greater density, which leads to the higher capacity and low cost per bit. So compared to any other memories that we have, the flash memories are very cheaper because it has a greater density. They require a single power supply and consume very less power in their operation. we have seen that EEPROM requires three different voltages to do three different tasks, whereas uh, here in case of flash memory, a single power supply voltage is sufficient to perform all the operations. So these flash memories are used in portable equipment, that is battery driven handheld computers, cell phones, digital cameras, MP3 music players, etc. These are the applications of the flash memory. Flash memory are used in most of the modern day embedded devices, embedded systems or embedded devices. These flash memories are used. The memory that we have discussed, the flash memory that we have discussed is a single flash chips which do not provide a sufficient storage capacity for the applications that are mentioned above. So the larger memory modules consist of number of chips. So what happens is you need to place multiple flash memories together, and there are two popular choices for implementation of larger memory modules, that is flash cards and flashcards and flash drives. The one way of constructing the larger modulus is mount the flash chips on a small card. Such flashcards are the standard interface that makes them usable in variety of products. The typical sizes may be of 8 megabytes. You can have 8 megabytes, you can have 32 megabytes, you can have 64 megabytes, and so on. The flash cards can come with different ranges, that is 8 megabytes, 32 megabytes, and 64 megabytes. These flashcards are generally used to store the musics in about 1 megabyte of memory. Most of the MP3 players will have these flashcards as their memories. So the flash drives, these are the drives that are developed to replace the hard disk drives. These flash drives are designed to fully emulate the hard disk. The fact that the flash drives are solid electronic devices. So they have these flash drives are very fast. The seek time or the searching time is very less, because of which the device will be very faster. And the disadvantage of flash drive is that it comes in a smaller capacity, and it comes with smaller capacity. The flash drives are comes with small capacity as compared to the hard disk, and the cost per bit is high. Cost per bit is high. So this is about the flash memory. The diagram here shows the memory hierarchy in terms of the three parameters are concerned here, considered here: increasing size, increasing speed, and increasing cost per bit. These are the there should, if you want to choose, or if you whenever we fabricate or whenever we manufacture a product, we need to consider these three things when we choose a memory. One is the size, which is very important in case of any applications or modern day applications. The size is very important. Increasing speed, the speed is also important, and cost per bit. So here there should be a trade-off between these three parameters. You cannot have increase very small size, high speed, and low cost. You cannot have a device which has which is very small, which has high speed, and which is very cheap. These three will not be accommodated with one device. So there should be a trade-off uh, between these three parameters. So the memory hierarchy starts from the processor registers. Next we have primary cache. Next we have secondary cache. Then comes the main memory that is external to the processor and the secondary storage devices. This is how we these are the different types of memories that are associated with the processor. Internally within the processor you will have a register which is very fast. The primary compared to the registers, primary cache is slower and the secondary cache is still slower than the primary. But the registers, the size of the register is very small and its capacity is also very small. Whereas the magnetic disk, disk magnetic disk, the size is large and the capacity is also high, and the cost per bit is very less in case of the secondary devices, that is magnetic disk or the secondary memory. Here we end with different types of ROM that are associated with the computer systems.